This podcast is sponsored by our SA Rock and Metal fans Facebook page.
Strap yourself in,
because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
All right, yourselves.
Good, thank you.
Cool. Okay, so is Sean there with you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Awesome. How's it going?
Good. How are you, man?
Alrighty, cool. All right, so I'm
Where
recording.
are you calling us from?
From South Africa.
Oh, wow.
Is that kind of weird for you?
No, it's awesome. I mean, we get to talk to people from all over the world now, and it's exciting for us, I guess.
Isn't that the whole point of being in music is to be sort of like time travelers and explorers of the world?
Well, I don't think it was the point when it started, but now it's something we're really enjoying.
So, I mean, that's a great segue though, Sean and Gwyn, but how did this all start?
Well, I think it started in 2017. Sean hadn't really been doing much music stuff for a while, and then I bought him a music program called Logic for Christmas, and I think it kind of, turned on the switch again, and he just started suddenly writing all this music and became very prolific. And then he needed a singer. He would hear me kind of singing at night in the bath, and he basically twisted my arm until I said yes to singing on a couple of the things that he wrote. And then and then we just decided that we were going to release something on Bandcamp, just for us. We really didn't think it would have any legs, but it just kind of took off.
Wow, okay. Jeepers. So like a little project kind of thing turns into a massive big thing, and the next minute you're releasing a whole LP album.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that must be kind of freaky.
Yeah, I mean, especially for me, Sean has had experience with that in the past with his previous band, but I had never sung before, so it was kind of interesting.
Really?
And yeah.
Well, it sure as hell doesn't sound like it. Jeepers.
Thank you.
I mean, it's very haunting though, isn't it? It's I mean, I've been lucky enough to hear the whole album, and I was like, damn it, this is like, I actually wrote down words. It's usually when I do these podcasts, it's just like ad lib, whatever we talk about, it kind of just flows that kind of way, and I make like very few notes. But this one, I've got about 15 notes here, and says, okay, so my thoughts on the album words: heavy, hypnotic, immense, uncomfortable, tense, captivating, dynamic, doom, dark, freedom, encapsulating, angelic, and domineering.
I love it. My favorite one out of that is uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, it's weird good, but because it fucked my mind up. I can't think of a better way of saying it. It really just, this is an adult podcast, by the way, so you can swear, don't worry about it. But it just, it totally blew my mind. I was like, hang on a second, this is not like a normal album that you listen to and just kind of just go with it and go to the next track. It's like you listen to it and you go, hang on, is there a concept here? And then I was like, okay, 1692, what happened in 1692, people? And then of course the Salem witch trials and everything like that, and it was like, whoa, okay. So when this whole recording started of the album, was that the idea to have it like a concept?
Not particularly. I think we had the album title before we finished writing everything, but for me, a lot of the lyrics are just kind of a stream of consciousness. So I just kind of, write and go with it. And I guess it was just kind of the mindset I was in at the time. I get kind of preachy. Sean will say that's true about things like, you create your own world. So, why are you wasting time kind of sitting in the heavy stuff? You have to work through it, but you can, what you think is what you'll find. So I think it just kind of was there.
What is your favorite movie? I'm intrigued because I'm really sort of picking your brain. I'll get to you, Sean, just in a second, man. But I'm really intrigued as to these things because I have my preconceived ideas already. But I just want to see if I'm on the same wavelength as you.
There are so many movies that I love, but most of them are horror movies, honestly. But I really do I like a lot of cheesy horror movies when I want to relax, but I also watch a lot of documentaries and things about, just, I guess, the occult and yeah, just things like that.
I knew it.
Very
I knew it. Very interesting. The first movie that I thought of when I was listening to this was The Crow. I was just like,
Okay.
God, this is perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Why can't this be a cinematic soundtrack or something, to that kind of movie? Like the Doom,
Right.
like the Doom game, Oh, man. So, I mean, who wrote it? Who came up with the ideas and the construct of the album?
Well, Sean, the way that we write is Sean writes some riffs, and then I will write a melody. We'll kind of roughly arrange it, and then I'll write lyrics, and then we kind of put the spookies and the finishing touches on it towards the end. Sometimes, I mean, his riffs, the ones that I'm usually drawn towards are the ones that are heavy, of course, but also kind of spooky. And my goal is always to make the listener a little uncomfortable. I want you kind of looking over your shoulder a little bit while you listen to the music. So that's kind of my big thing.
And Sean, what was your involvement other than riffs here and there and the whole sort of like gluing the whole thing together kind of vibe?
Well, like Gwen said, she's in charge of lyrics and content and that kind of stuff. So it always starts with us having some parts, whether it's like the whole song's arranged or it's just verse chorus, which we call that AB. And so we'll just come up with some parts, and then we'll put it in Dropbox folder, and then she'll go there and listen to it, and then she'll have some notes on lyrics because she has all these notes in her phone, like lots and lots of stuff in there, little fragments. Sometimes it's full songs, and then she'll start working on a melody. I have a little bit of say in the melody sometimes, like usually she comes up with things because this is her first band. She's not stuck in any ruts. And with melody, sometimes I can get that way. So I let her, and this is like a learning process for me, is like when I first started, I was like, no, I'll help you with vocal melodies too, because I've been doing this for 20 some years and I'm real good at this. So just let me handle it. And then it just was monotonous and it wasn't really feeling, she's much better to come up with her own melodies because like not being in a rut puts a different spin on something than I'll write. I mean, how many, minor scale pentatonic riffs can you come up with? And then if you try to put that same kind of melody on top of it, like if it starts to be too blues based or something, then it just, to me, sounds like other bands. So I kind of like let her go. And then she comes up with just, weird, unique melodies that at first, honestly, make me uncomfortable. There's that word again. Because I'm like, oh, it sounds like our song God's No Faith. I think I felt like that sounded like circus music or something, because I'm so set in my heavy drop tune stoner doom riff ways that if I hear something goes outside of that, it makes me nervous. And I'm like, no, you can't do that. And then I let it sit for a couple days or a week, and I come back and I'm like, oh my God, that was such the right answer. Because if I would have done it, it would have just sounded like another Kaya song, or it would have sounded like
which is not bad. But I mean, still, it wouldn't be Frayle. And I
totally fine. But not Frayle. And that's something we really, try real hard to do, is not sound like someone else. We try to, that's not true. We try to sound like Frayle, and if that happens to sound like someone else, then it does. But we don't, and Gwen is really probably a stronger voice than that, because a lot of stuff I'm like, no, it's cool, and she's like, meh. She makes this little noise, and like it's this dagger into my soul. And when she goes, meh, and that means try harder. So we gotta, come up with something else. So, there's it starts with the music, and then she'll come in. Sometimes I'll have a little bit of input on a melody. I can help her a little bit if she gets stuck, or phrasing and timing and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's her, and I really don't touch the words. I mean, I'm not a writer of words. My vocabulary is very limited, so I stay out of that and just try to glue everything together. And then we collaborate as well on the image side of it, because especially with COVID right now, we can't get out and play in front of everybody.
Yeah.
the best way to communicate with, fans and new fans is through imagery. So, Gwen will come up with some ideas, or I'll come up with some ideas, and then, it's usually my job to execute the technical side of that, like lighting and filming it and editing and stuff like that. But as far as it's very similar to music, where Gwen's got some ideas. She's like, hey, I'm gonna put this hat on, we're gonna go in the cemetery, and then you take pictures of me like this, and then so I just have to figure out how to do it. And then we go do it.
I mean, you had your first EP release back in 2018, which is called The White Witch. So is this EP now, EP, full album, 1692, is it a complete breakaway from The White Witch? Because I haven't heard that yet.
Oh, no, it's pretty similar. It's just, I think The White Witch now, looking back at it, just sounds like, I don't want to say, I guess maybe it's simpler, because we're just getting more complex in our songwriting, we're just getting better songwriters, I guess. And that's, we've been working on the next record for a while now, pretty much since the day 1692 came out. We've been working on the next one, and that's even, what we have now is even way more complex than that. But I don't think that 1692 is too much of a departure. It's just, you can see it's just a progression.
It's a progression.
Yeah. Okay. It sounds thinner compared to the full sample, because there's multiple layers going on in this album.
Well, and that too, that's getting better at recording, because we record all this stuff ourselves, and we mix it and master it ourselves. So it's, White Witch was like, a lot of that guitar sound is like a 1 watt amp, because we were living in a duplex and our neighbors were next door. And although they were friends of ours, I didn't want to, play guitars loud, and I didn't really have the equipment either. So as we've developed as a band, we've gotten, now I have a mountain of Orange amps, and we just got endorsed by Orange, which is awesome. So we have, we have
see, there you go. That's how you do it, folks. You get Orange on board. There you go.
So now we have just ridiculous gear that is set up at all times. So if we feel like doing something, you just go flick a switch, and it's what we would go. It's the same signal chain as if we went to like a big studio. So we're just learning a lot more.
Dude, I've got so many questions I want to ask, but it sounds like you've had like 10 million cups of coffee. I'm like, fuck, I've got this question, that question now.
That's funny. So I'm actually trying to talk slow right now, but it's impossible for me.
He drinks a cup of coffee, and it's just, I'm like, oh my God, leave me alone for like an hour.
I think I have a problem. So. This is actually me restrained.
Wow. Okay. So my first question out of all of that was, why do musicians get into a rut, first of all?
Well, it's, for me, it's like, it's just comfortable to do what you know. So if you sit down with an instrument, or whether you're writing and you're sitting down to maybe either one, just goof around, or two, if you're trying to get some, you're trying to emote through your instrument, you do what's familiar. Right. Sometimes breaking out of that then feels like you're not being yourself. So it's tough to push yourself, because it feels uncomfortable, and it feels like almost like you're betraying what your roots are, I guess. And that for me, maybe it's different for other people, but so that would kind of restrict me. But through Frayle, I've actually learned how to break free out of a lot of that. Like we actually just recently, this week, tried to cover a song that my old band did, and it's like a 20-some-year-old song, and the music feels good to me, but once it all got glued together, Gwyn was like, it's just not Frayle, like it's not there. And so that's like, to me, showing me that I'm still kind of on that journey of trying to break free of what I identified as, with 20 years ago as something that I made, or, and now it's I've grown beyond that. So it's I don't know, it's like I think it's a comfort thing, really.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first thing that came to my mind. As soon as I was asking the question, I was saying to myself, well, why do you put yourself in that position? And I was just saying, well, it's comfortable. And what to do, and it's you don't have to think outside the box, or you just don't have to think. It just becomes second nature. So, I mean, I guess Frayle has basically, broken the shackles for you, perhaps, and allowed you to be a free thinker.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a certain scale that Gwyn wants stuff to be heavy and spooky. So there's only a couple. There's only 12 notes, right? And like half of those won't work for what we're doing. So it's like you have to find ways to be creative within those, whether that's timing or phrasing. But now I'm, trying to break out. Even if you go a couple octaves up, you can sometimes get away with breaking out of that scale. So that those are shackles, I guess, coming off, and especially with Gwen's melodies, like she does stuff that I'd never do. So that's a huge part of our sound is, the tone of her voice, what she chooses to do with it, and
it's Gwyn, I have to say it's quite a unique, haunting voice. That's probably the wrong way of saying it, Trevor, because now you sound like a complete dick. So let me just say this, okay? The voice, when is your voice and your singing voice and your speaking voice, is it two different things? Is there like a mode that you just kind of switch on and that's it?
Yeah. So, I think for me initially, the reason that I was never in a band previously is because I never really felt comfortable with my singing voice. And I think it's, because it is different and it's not what you typically hear. And so for Sean to tell me, I think I just needed somebody to tell me that it was okay. And I think we both push each other out of our comfort zones a little bit, which is amazing creatively. But I think, when it comes to singing, I have a couple of different voices that, that I can use comfortably. And that one is just the one that just kind of automatically comes.
Do you have a routine, like a warm-up routine before you record and all that sort of thing, or live? I mean, have you guys actually played live? I mean, with COVID and everything.
Well, I mean, we did previous to COVID, but it's been a year. Yeah,
it's been at least a year. Like when we put that EP out, within a week, we had our record label in Europe. And she was like, I'm going to get you on some festivals over here. And Gwen had never played a show in her life. So we had to figure that out pretty quick. So yeah, we were on a roll playing live, doing festivals and touring around, and COVID kind of shut that down. But back to your warm-up question. Do you have a warm-up?
Not really. I just use a lot of lozenges, even when I
That's not the way to do it. That's not good for the vocal cords.
Well, I think the way that I sing is not necessarily good for the vocal cords, but
the technique's still there, though, hasn't it? I mean, you've still got to have some sort of technique, grounding technique to do what you do anyway.
Yeah, I think for me, it's mostly getting into a mindset, and a lot of it as well is, quite honestly, is positioning the mic perfectly. Sean wants to kick me, I think, every time that we go up there, because
I don't want to kick you. I just want to move the mic.
Yeah, he keeps wanting to move the mic, and I'm like, look, it has to be low, and it needs to be a certain way, because I'm kind of pinching my vocal cords and pushing the air up top.
Right.
And it's, for that to be done comfortably, I have to position my head in a certain way and my neck in a certain way.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean,
that must make for quite a spectacle, like a visual.
It's not that crazy. It's just if I just always hear other studio owners and engineers that I've worked with in the past, like their spirit comes in and says, Sean, what are you doing? But again, there's no real rules for recording, so whatever works. So I've learned that.
Think outside the box, man. Whatever works, and if it sounds good, just run with it, man.
Yeah,
it sounds great.
That's what I do, because we just let her go, and we found some mics that she's happy with, and I don't touch them. I just leave set up.
Don't touch the mic, Sean. You're a guitarist. You're not allowed to touch the mics. Okay, right.
Yeah.
That's rule number 1.
Yeah.
And rule number 2 is less coffee.
Yes.
Man, really?
No, sorry, wrong rule. More coffee, I mean, particularly before you go on stage. Yeah.
It actually helps him creatively, so I'm all for it.
Well, there you go. You see. And I use this inverted commas. That's your drug of choice. Good for you, man.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I haven't drank in like 3 years, so coffee is the only thing.
Come on, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I'm always concerned about when people say they don't drink. They're like, oh, there's a history there. Do I approach it or not? Ooh, I don't know.
No, it's just I feel better. I make better decisions. I'm not hungover anymore. And honestly, the energy that I wasted drinking and partying had to go somewhere, and it went into the band. And that's another reason why so much shit happens with the band, is because I'm sober.
And on coffee.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. You see, I've got a mate who's been sober for like, I don't know, 10, 15 years or I don't know, something like that. And it's just amazing. He's a completely different person. He's just amazing. So kudos to you, man. Well done. Well done.
Do you like him better sober?
We actually met up a couple of years back, and I've been in touch with him for quite a while, and we were all having a party because the band were getting back together and stuff like that. And I joked with the drum and I said I prefer drunk Dave. Well, he wasn't in earshot, thank fuck for that, because I probably would have got a smack around the ear hole or something. But no, for his purposes and his life at that point, he needed to sort himself out, and he's way better. He's gone vegan and all of that sort of stuff, and he runs, and he's super fit and thin, and like you, he says no hangovers, none of that sort of like what the hell did I do last night kind of vibe. So no, kudos. I did it for 16 weeks. That was the longest, and I will admit that I felt the best I've ever felt in my life. So, but I'm sipping here right now, so that doesn't help. But anyway, so let's talk endorsements. Orange, how did that happen?
Well, we shot a live video like right before Christmas. We did 3 songs, and we've been kind of leaking those out. We have one more to go that's going to come out, I think, this weekend. But I just sent Orange I always read these stories about people getting endorsements and how much work it took and all this like courting and being nervous and all this stuff. I just DM'd him on Instagram and I said, here's the video of the link, and I said your amps helped us break through the ether or something like that. Not even thinking they would respond. Oh no. And then they got back, and then I said, hey, we're going to Europe next year after COVID. Can you point us in the right direction of backline? I was just trying to start a conversation like that. And then they came back with, well, we really dig what you guys are doing, and we'd like to offer you an endorsement. So it took about 3 lines on Instagram to get it, which was, I don't know, it's pretty awesome. That's like a big deal for me because I'm a gear nerd, so that's awesome.
And I must just point out to people who are listening that there's a big difference between sponsorship and endorsement. Okay, so the people, they don't get this shit for free. Let's just put it out there, right? Okay, cool. So what is the music scene in Cleveland? What is it like?
Well, it's kind of fragmented right now. Like back in the day, I think there was more focus, and it almost seemed like more people went to shows. And now, because music is so fragmented and there's so many, you really have to just get it either through Spotify or YouTube. There's no radio or focused, outlets for it. So, which, fragments the genres and all that. So it's just a lot different. Like there's a lot of heavier bands, but not a lot of heavier fans, I guess. And they're all a little bit older. Like if Queens of the Stone Age or Sleep comes in, then those shows are packed. But for local bands, it's pretty tough. And a lot of medium-sized bands skip Cleveland, and they'll play Pittsburgh and they'll play Chicago. Cleveland's in the middle of that. They won't play here. And I think it's just a tough market. So there's a lot of musicians, and everyone kind of supports each other here. But there's just not I don't know. There's not a lot of momentum, I guess, from Cleveland. So, like when our record came out, we didn't even play a CD release show here because we just didn't feel like it was worth it. And that's something that, again, you're supposed to do as a band. You're supposed to have a CD release show, but I just didn't feel like it was necessary. And we don't really regret not doing that. Hopefully that would be great if that changed after COVID. But as of the past few years, it's just been for heavier bands. It's not that crazy. And then we go to Chicago or go somewhere else, and it's totally different. Yeah.
Wow, cheapers. Because obviously, when we talk about like areas within America, a lot of us not in America don't realize how massive America actually is. There's time zones within itself. It's just absolutely mad.
It's huge, and the middle of it is really disconnected. So you have, East Coast, New York, West Coast, LA. Yeah. And there's Seattle, Portland. There's some cities out there that have some scenes, and then on the East Coast, New York. We've been there several times. We've probably played New York not more than Cleveland, but Chicago is great. Pittsburgh has a pretty healthy scene. It's just Cleveland, and there's some other cities in the U.S. that are just kind of, a lot of touring bands will skip over, which it's sad because there's good clubs here. It's just the way it is, I guess.
I was just going to say that, are there venues that are closing down due to the whole COVID, shit that's going on?
So in our circle regionally, the one, there's a venue in Cleveland, the Grog Shop, which was, my home base for forever with my old band. They've managed to stay open. I think they've, done some creative things to get a little bit of income, and obviously the bartenders and things like that have different jobs now, but they're still open. And then there's a West Side Bowl in Youngstown, which is southeast of us, and they've stayed open because they have a pizza kitchen, and the owner there is a marketing genius and has just done pretty well to keep his staff employed and keep the business going. And it's actually a bowling alley, so he bought a lot of space. It's a full bowling alley with a stage upstairs and stage downstairs. It's a big building, but he's able to keep the lights on by being creative because he's got a full kitchen.
Yeah, geez, the scenery or the music scene throughout the world has changed completely. It's turned upside down. Everything has just gone nuts because of COVID. So how do you set yourself apart from everybody else that when COVID struck and the restrictions and lockdowns, how did you sort of like rise above everybody else to be noticed?
I think right before it happened, we were starting to focus heavily on video, and we bought I got a cinema camera and just started learning everything I could about lights, and now we have a whole room full of lighting and camera gear, and because it's a valuable and viable way to reach the people that know you and reach
good
new
quality
people.
content. Yeah.
So we turned into a music or a TV station, I guess.
The Frayle TV station.
Yeah. So that video and imagery and then just changing how we release music is pretty much all we can do within our power to get out there. And then our labels help amplify it now with Orange. Their access to their social is really a big deal for us. So for them to amplify something we do, it legitimizes us and
absolutely.
Helps other new people find out about it. I mean, the biggest influx of new followers we've ever had was when Orange put the first post up about us, and it was crazy. It was awesome. I woke up and I looked at my phone and I was like, "Oh, Orange!"
I was just gonna say, you must have thought, "What the hell?"
Yeah, no, I knew it was Orange because I didn't. There's nothing else that we can tell when other things happen. But just new followers, or we watch our Spotify numbers, and we can tell when someone posts about us or a new interview or something comes out. So it's kind of cool to watch that happen.
I mean, it must. I guess that's the dream, isn't it? Is to get like endorsements so that you can grow your numbers. Because I was speaking to an artist out of New York, band called James Ryder himself, and we were talking about the music industry and getting signed to a label and all this sort of stuff. And one of the things he said, and it's always stuck with me, was that the first thing the label said to them was, "Well, what are your numbers?" And I was like, "Well, what do you mean, what are the numbers?" And he just said, they wanted to know how many Facebook followers you have, your Instagram numbers, your Twitter numbers, and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, "What? Why is that of any, I'm just trying to think of the right word to say. Why is that a thing? What your numbers on your social media are. I don't understand why a label needs to. I mean, I guess maybe I do understand.
Are you a viable investment for them? That's what it comes down to.
It's not like discovering really new bands anymore. It's just giving the extra push to people who are already making noise.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Yeah, I guess they want to make sure that their fans or the artist fans then get turned on to the labels, other artists and so on. So I guess it's a return of interest of some way or another. But okay, so obviously Sean, this is primarily directed at you because you've obviously been in the business a fair while already. What is the funniest thing that has happened on tour?
Well, Frayle tour are pretty boring.
Look, it doesn't have to be Frayle. It could be previous stuff, whatever.
Well, because our Frayle tours, like Gwyn and I are seriously in bed within an hour after the show's over, and the guys in the band will go out and do whatever, but we're pretty like we're up early and just getting coffee or whatever and just checking out the city, so we don't really do any crazy stuff anymore. I'm sure the other guys in Frayle have had some funny stuff happen to them that I'm not going to talk about, but my old band Disengage, like we were on Man's Ruin, which was like the first kind of stoner rock label back in the day.
Right.
And we weren't really stoner rock, but we kind of fit in with them a little bit. So we got to go on tour because our last record was actually on a label with one of the guys from Jackass, Ryan Dunn.
Oh, right. Okay.
So we went on tour with the Jackass guys, this Viva La Bam tour. And I mean, pretty much that whole tour was just unbelievable nonsense. I've never played before. Those guys are, at the time they were megastars. So we got to do like Motley Crue shit.
Wow. Jeez. Jealous. Anyway, damn, that must be so. I mean, that is, I'm just jealous. Whatever. I'm not going to try and justify my next question, but anyway. Okay, right, Sean, rig rundown. Go for it. What are you playing on? What have you got?
Oh, well, the live stuff is orange. So it starts up at the top with an orange. I used to play bass in my old band. Now I play guitar, so I need a lot of low end. So orange has a head called the Thunderbird, which they don't make anymore, but the 200 watt version has these transformers that go all the way down to 30 hertz. This is nerd stuff, but so that means that if you play bass through it, it'll still amplify the low end of the bass guitar at the full 200 watts. So when you put drop tune guitar through that, it is the heaviest head you could possibly.
Nice.
That's the head, and then I got two blacked out orange cabs that goes live, and then pedals are like out of control. Like I probably have like, but the ones that we use the most are like so the guitar amp is all orange. I have a Gibson SG SG Gothic blacked out SG with these lace Dragonaut Matt Pike pickup in the bridge, and then the pedal that does most of our work is the Afterneath from Earthquaker, and that makes like the spooky stuff. And then I have this custom Frayle White Witch pedal, which is like a rat that does a lot of our heavier tones, and then a bunch of other pedals.
Wow.
Those are the two. That's the mains.
Wow. Gwyn, so let me ask you this then. What is going to be the first thing once people are allowed to travel and go abroad and do whatever? What is the first thing that Frayle's going to do? Wow, that is a heavy sigh. Jeez.
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, the only thing that we really have planned thus far is the tour in Europe at the end of October, early November. So, I mean, we're very much looking forward to that. But we really haven't made any plans because everything is so dynamic right now.
So where is this tour happening?
Germany, Netherlands, where else?
Belgium, kind of like Benelux, just around there. Like we had the option to go to UK, but we just thought it was a little short. If it gets pushed back to spring because of COVID, we're kind of like booking two tours at once. There's the first one, and then there's the backup.
Right.
Backup, we'd probably push into UK a little bit as well, but they're still trying to figure out their.
Well, I was going to say that if you get to Belgium, then it's pity you don't drink anymore because they make the best beers on earth. But anyway, have a fantastic waffle with some cream or ice cream or something. There you go.
They got every once in a while weed happens. So
oh, there you go. You see, folks. There you go. Radio. Okay, guys. Sean, Gwyn, thank you so much for taking the time out to chat to me, man. I really do appreciate it. The album 1692 is coming out February the 14th. Is that correct? Of course it is. It's releasing for Valentine's Day. There you go. 1692 it's going to be on all digital platforms. Everything will be in the link below, in the description below. All the links. You can like, love, share, do whatever it is that you need to do. So 14th of February, 1692 by the band Frayle, Frayle. And my favorite track so far out of the album is Godless. Love it. That's definitely my favorite track.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's one of mine too.
There you go. I can't be wrong then. Well, yeah, guys, thank you so much, man. Look after yourselves, stay safe and all that. And when you guys go on tour, after you've done your tour, let's do this again and let's catch up.
Sounds
awesome.
good.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Renna. Thanks again. Shout out to Warren at Plug Music Agency for the hookup to chat to you guys. I appreciate that very much, Warren. You're a true gent. Thank you very much. Gwyn, Sean, keep well.
All right.
Thanks, you too.
All right.
Bye.
Cheers.